2018 Mazda MX-5 Review. The good points of Mazda MX-5. Fun to push. Sweet 1.5-liter engine. Slick gear change. Sharp, modern design. The bad points of Mazda MX-5. Lacks space for storage. Cabin is extremely snug. Fiddly steering wheel buttons. Boot within the small side. It's very easy to underestimate how important the Mazda MX-5 Roadster would be to the Japanese firm, these days in its fourth generation since global sales began in 1989, greater million happened to be sold. Quite an achievement considering it can hardly be termed mainstream. In fact, Roadsters are really uncommon nowadays that the MX-5 has few direct rivals. Most obvious will be the Fiat 124 Spider as well as its high-performance Abarth 124 Spider cousin, which were coated in conjunction together with the MX-5. Then there's the Audi TT Roadster, BMW Z4 Roadster and Mercedes-Benz SLC, that are larger, stronger and significantly pricier. Plus it's not easy to ignore the fun-focused Toyota GT86 along with the rapid Ford Fiesta Street. We ran one as being a long-term or watch a little more about it here. 2 free-revving engines. Mazda succeeded in to become a focused roadster by adding the superfluous while using MX-5, and that's very true of versions fitted using the 1.5-liter Skyactiv engine. Mazda engineers created specifically the whole car with this in mind, unit demand from America like a primary reason behind the inclusion of the 2.0-liter engine also, and within a short period of driving it you can observe why. This comparatively small engine spins incredibly freely, surpassing 7,000 revolutions per minute before nudging its limiter, and sounds fantastically enthusiastic. It adds up to an experience that may be entirely in keeping while using intended sensations in this lightweight roadster. Mazda calls it joy on the moment, joy of life. We call it fun. What in the 2.0-liter alternative? It has an extra 29 horsepower and 50 Nm of torque in the 1.5-liter, helping the former's 8.3-second 062 mph time by 1.0 second. Truth learn, the increase in torque is very noticeable, and infrequently welcome, however it lacks the purity from the smaller unit and feels coarser by comparison. We can totally realize why you'd plump for that 2.0-liter, however the 1.5's the most effective engine suited to this two-seater. Fabric roof, operated manually. This is really a sophisticated car, but one without added complexity. Which is why you should manually operate the folding fabric roof. The one electrical intervention present emanates from the windows which lower slightly while you unlatch the top from the top with a windscreen rail. It'll fold back neatly into its dedicated spot behind the seats in a movement, requiring little greater swing of one's arm, and doesn't eat into any available boot space either. Often closing such roofs, twisting round and backwards together with your arm to succeed in before lifting awkwardly, can wrench your shoulder, but this effort is really light. There's little potential for such injury. For people that prefer an automatic, plus much more secure, approach, consider the electrically folding hardtop designed to the Mazda MX-5 RF. Mazda's featherweight strategy, which sees the 1.5-liter car weigh just 940 kilograms without having a driver, is fanatical. Even both the 0.0-liter tips the scales at only 25 kilograms more. There's extended usage of aluminium to make the full thing lighter, and components that won't their very own integrity or strength affect its sport weight, saving holes with pride. Even the welded and riveted parts are formed in a very wave contour around fractionally reduced materials used, minimizing the weight. Familiar but progressive design. People buy roadsters because of their hearts, and therefore the attention to detail spent over how MX-5 looks is practically as great as being the time invested ensuring it drove properly. It follows the firm's familiar code of soul of motion design ethos, and delay pills work best here within this stubby-tailed roadster. The surfacing is expressive, the entire body color wrapping within the tops from the doors and into your cabin, and in many cases standing still. The MX-5 looks lithe, alert and watchy to look. It includes a shorter wheelbase than in the past. Even so, the placement in the cabin means there's more room involving the pedals and also the front wheels, so there's no compromise inside driving position, providing you're much less tall. Same goes for that bonnet, which hooks low in the front wheels, necessitating slim LED lights to keep the correct proportions and also giving it quite an aggressive face. The cabin will be the shortest in MX-5 background, and though it thinks slightly snug on occasion, it's also the very best so far. There's no soft-touch plastic. Even so, the simple detailing and layout reinforce this car's fun focus, plus it feels entirely robust. The verdict. The MX-5 is undoubtedly an affordable method to own an exciting, convertible fancy car. Using it when your main car might present issues while using cramped cabin and small boot. However, you can easily forget this after you get behind the wheel. It's really enjoyable drive an automobile on any road. You don't even should be driving quickly to accomplish this, nor must you have the priciest or fastest model. Watch the entire Mazda MX-5 review to ascertain if it's the Roadster for you personally. Just two engines to pick from. The smaller one will be the sweeter. But there's more power together with the 2.0-liter. If performance from the Mazda MX-5 can be a priority, then actually it's each 0.0-liter engine you should buy, since it's quicker compared to the characterful 1.5-liter engine, the sole other option. Hold fire though, that smaller unit is unquestionably a sweet, free-revving power plant. We can't help but recommend it too. Pair of Sky-active petrol units. Plonk yourself down inside low-slung Mazda MX-5 seat and you'll notice, from the 1.5-liter cars, how the rev counter swings all the way, in which around to in excess of 7,500 revolutions per minute ahead of the numbers turn red. That's really quite high-revving, and indicative with the character on this engine. On the downside, that means you should rev it difficult to make progress. It only provides its full 131 horsepower at 7,000 revolutions per minute, plus the backup is only 150 Nm of torque, though usefully that arrives some 2,200 revolutions per minute further on the rev range. Under full throttle acceleration, the MX-5 1.5-liter still seems to scrabble from most 62 miles per hour in 8.3 seconds, and using the roof down, it feels pleasantly brisk as opposed to anything approaching fast. Top speed is 127 miles per hour, a fairly roary exhaust note, along with a characterful increase in engine noise since you rev it harder, mean you rarely lament its not enough straight-line performance. And around the plus side, just how this engine revs out beyond that 7,000 revolutions per minute point with genuine fluidity and eagerness means it's a total pleasure to operate it so desperately. In fact, it sounds and feels happier presents itself its rev range laptop or computer does below 4,000 revolutions per minute. You'll likely have fun here, so much that you'll identify yourself bouncing them back its rev limiter regularly. More powerful option. Clearly the two main 0.0-liter engine has more mid-range get and go, producing another 29 horsepower and 50 Nm of torque, some 1,000 revolutions per minute and 200 revolutions per minute respectively lower within the rev range, compared together with the 1.5-liter unit. These numbers are borne out from the spec sheets, using a quoted 0.62 miles per hour time 1 second quicker as well as a top speed of 133 miles per hour, and you'll notice it within the road, particularly the extra torque, when you don't have to function the car nearly as hard since its smaller-engined brother. It's a less strenuous car they are driving fast, the reason is, but back-to-back using the 1.5-liter, this engine doesn't sound nearly as good and nor could it be as keen to rev. Both cars are fitted that has a deliciously slick 6-speed manual gearbox that continues Mazda's great tradition of installing transmissions that operate using a beautifully mechanical precision. Sneaking up and along the box, making using the expertly placed and weighted pedals can be a delight which simply adds for the overall experience with driving this Roadster. Balanced handling encourages one to press on. Smaller engine lacks sufficient power for tail-out fun. Range-topping sport nav has stiffer suspension. From as soon as you drive off inside Mazda MX-5 you'll delight to use obvious a sense of its balanced and precise handling. You'll be able to thank its 5,050 weight distribution to the steering, while sharp and relatively lightweight, is fluid and beautifully linear with excellent communication over the relatively thin rim. This MX-5 feels darty and agile with every use of lock, a sense emphasized from the seating position placed so nearby the rear axle, the rest with the car seemingly pivoting around your point. Choose the 1.5-liter engine and you'll notice a fair volume of body roll. Far from leaning uncontrollably, the entire body simply tilts when cornered hard, in keeping while using spirit with the free-revving 1.5-liter engine. It feels perfectly natural. Not only does it add to your vehicle's light-weight feeling, additionally, it communicates what is actually going on and pre-warns you of a typical impending lack of grip. And truth find out, in this particular 1.5-liter there's more grip than power. Experienced drivers with all the stability control disengaged aiming to provoke the spine into a slide will struggle to accomplish this under power alone, the Mazda requiring aggressive turn and then a lift around the throttle to unsaddle its balance and unstick its rubber through the tarmac. The answer may be found inside the 2.0-liter, that has more performance on offer and also the ability to upset the spine simply by burying the throttle mid-bend or halfway around a roundabout. To us it felt slightly flatter when cornering at speed, and there's a firmness to its ride too, though, which is attributed to the vehicle's 17-inch instead of 16-inch alloy wheels. It's both the .0-liter MX-5S that would be the most fun driven near to the limit of grip though, due to Bilstein dampers, mechanical limited slip differential along with a strut brace up front for the sport nav. Here will be the MX-5 that could be easily steered within the throttle, with all the tail swinging wide following your apex if you're aggressive enough together with your inputs, and easily controlled if you're quick enough to react. It's always entirely predictable though, plus it remains incredibly flat, regardless how dramatic the direction change. In reality, the location where the 1.5-liter MX-5 feels as though an excellent fun car, it's this 2.0-liter, which consists of limited slip differential, all the more so in sport nav trim with all the upgraded Bilstein dampers, that feels potential a proper performance car. Cabin feels tighter than ever. Well made, but plastics are firmly unyielding. Easy for many to get a comfy driving position. If you've ever sat in any with the first 3 generations of Mazda MX-5 you'll discover the interior layout, plus some of its details, quickly familiar. Present may be the high transmission tunnel, installed on top of which could be the stubby but delicate gear lever, and offset handbrake. It's worth noting it's a normal lever, not an electronic parking brake. The round air vents are available, and despite a flowing dashboard that doesn't really angle itself towards driver, The design includes a symmetry ahead on the pilot that means it is feel-focused and relatively single-minded. A central rev counter keeps you focused too. Simple fact: the speedo, offset towards the right with the binnacle, is rather small. The white-in black design in the panel is clean, crisp and an easy task to watch. There are several new elements towards the cabin, and so on cell nav and above you'll see the prominent 7-inch touchscreens at atop the dash. It's the shortest cabin the MX-5 has been able to that your engineers have managed on account of siding the entire thing further back behind the leading wheel to guarantee the driver has perfectly aligned pedals and controls without any footwell intrusion on the front assembly from the car. You sit 20 mm lower and 30 mm much better your passenger towards transmission tunnel and rapidly rakinly steering adjustment. It's relatively all too easy to get into your desired driving position. It certainly feels low, and also the pedals are perfectly placed to employ your heel anto technique. Material quality is a useful one. Nevertheless, the Japanese are within the side of durable and strong plastics which are solid instead of soft touch, and so it has arrived. You don't feel in any way shortchanged inside though. The only thing that may take some getting used to could be the central control unit for that multimedia system where fitted and infotainment screen, though familiarity it's one on the easiest systems to use about the market. Low-spec models are certainly comfortable. Sport nav would be the firmest, but acceptable. Little buffeting with all the roof down. First and foremost, this car is all about having fun, but opt for the 1.5-liter say or cell nav, especially in Mazda MX-5. Comfort is surprisingly good. That's as a result of softer suspension and also the Diddy 16-inch wheels. Small by contemporary standards in this particular sector. It's an excellent setup, as well as from a visual standpoint Mazda's Roadster doesn't look underwheeled. With the state of several UK roads, there's a disagreement. This specification is perfect, the ride quality compliance something of any highlight for such an enjoyable car. With the Cell nav 2.0-liter, which relies on a similar suspension setup to your 1.5s, but 17-inch alloy wheels, it feels fractionally firmer but never uncomfortably so. It's still a supple ride, you simply notice more potholes or seriously rippled asphalt often. As you could expect, choosing the 2.0-liter Sport Nav using its Bilstein dampers, the ride gets firmer still. Which model MX-5 feels one of the most focused on the range. If you live somewhere the roads are smooth or mean to spend considerable time on track, this is usually a great choice. There's choosing 2 basic seats from the UK, since we don't find the excellent Recaro buckets offered in other markets, which prove comfortable and perfectly adjustable, whether or not the backrest is altered using a lever as opposed to more precise rotary control. Choose an MX-5 Sport Nav and you'll take advantage of speakers from the headrest as part in the 9-speaker Bose head unit, helping to make listening to music within the move together with the top-down a far more enjoyable experience. And with all the roof up, sound suppression is decent, although it's not whisper quiet, particularly when nudging the 7,500 revolutions per minute limiter on the 1.5-liter engine. But then it's a sports car, and frankly the sound of that tiny engine making an effort, roof down, reverberating its exhaust note off surrounding buildings and natural features could make the hairs with your arms climb onto end. 3 trim levels over the MX-5 range. All feature LED headlamps and keyless entry. Few options to decide for personalization. There are 3 distinct trim levels for the Mazda MX-5, say, Cell Nav and Sport Nav. However, based on which engine you ultimately choose, the makeup in the more expensive trims may differ. Standard Mazda MX-5 Roadster equipment. For the entry-level say be able to only develop the excellent 1.5-liter engine, and this also car comes using a 6-speed manual gearbox, 16-inch alloy wheels as well as the same slimline LED headlights as being the rest with the range. Inside the windows are operated electrically, the tire and gear knob are covered in leather along with the door mirrors are heated and electrically operated. Cabin temperature is maintained by manual air cooling, safety factors taken care of with front and side airbags plus the stereo has 4 speakers and iPod or USB connectivity. Keyless entry and begin are also part with the package. Moving to cell nav using the 1.5-liter engine adds LED day running lights and body-colored interior upper door trim. The air conditioning is upgraded to climate control. The stereo gains DAB radio and a couple of more speakers inside driver's headrest. Bluetooth connectivity and cruise control takes the load out of longer drives. Probably by far the most noticeable addition could be the 7-inch color touchscreen with the sat-nav as well as the multimedia commander familiar with Control-It. Choose the cell nav together with the 2.0-liter engine and yourself get 17-inch alloys, piano black door mirrors and also a limited slip differential LSD. This leaves the flagship Sport Nav models. The 1.5-liter version still operates on 16-inch alloy wheels lacking an LSD but adds the piano black door mirrors and heated leather seats. Safety is bolstered with the lane departure warning system as you move the lights and wipers turn themselves on automatically. The excellent 9-speaker Bose head unit is standard, featuring its 9 speakers, and rear parking sensors may also be included. Opt to the 2.0-liter model and alongside all on the above you add sports suspension with Bilstein dampers as well as a front strut brace, 17-inch alloy wheels plus an LSD. Optional Mazda MX-5 Roadster accessories. Due for the generous numbers of standard equipment over the MX-5 range, the plethora of options with the car is modest. A number of metallic, mica and pearlescent paints can be purchased, while safety is usually bolstered on Sport Nav models which has a combined automatic main beam and blind spot monitoring bundle. Most on the other options are visual adornments. There's a choice of 16 and 17-inch alloy wheel designs, and brilliant black and high-intensity silver exterior detailing kits. Practicality could be improved using a carbon fiber bootlet-mounted luggage carrier, while Alcantara suede trim panels and alloy pedals with rubber studs lend a sportier air. 4 stars from Euro NCAP. Still a good roadster drive and automobile. Contemporary safety tech agreeable. When crash-tested by Euro NCAP in 2015, the Mazda MX-5 was rated because the Roadster using the highest safety score observed from the expert body. Despite as being a lightweight sports vehicle, Mazda is keen to boost its proactive safety philosophy using this car, with the aim to ensure both occupants and pedestrians involved in an accident with the MX-5 are protected as comprehensively as is possible. Side airbags can also be standard, plus they are specially designed to guard the occupants' heads regardless if the fabric roof is lowered, whilst the passenger seat is sold with ISOFIX mountings to get a child seat. Pedestrians are only as well looked after because of sensors that boost the bonnet within a collision to deliver more space between sheet metal and engine's harder points, lessening the chance of serious injury. And obviously the firm has worked not easy to give drivers the most beneficial chance of avoiding an accident within the first place, having a group of safety technology under its iActive Sense umbrella. A blind spot monitoring system means you don't move out of your lane to the side of your adjacent vehicle, and rear cross-traffic alert uses sensors to warn you when other vehicles are approaching from behind when reversing out of any blind parking space, as an example. The lane departure warning system keeps you about the straight and narrow for the motorway. An adaptive front lighting system changes the direction in the low beams to accommodate the curves and contours in the road, while high beam control switches between high and low beam output based on traffic as well as other conditions. Short on practical features even by Roadster standards. Smaller boot and cabin than before. Lack of storage cubbies is frustrating. With only 2 seats, no traditional glove box or door pockets, plus a boot that's 20 liters smaller compared to the previous generation, practicality isn't one from the Mazda MX-5's primary selling points. But though that boot is less space-consuming than before, it's been reshaped to generate it more practical. Whether you may really slot in the pair of cases as Mazda engineers suggest remains a moot point. Nevertheless, the cabin might be more compact than any other time and you feel it. If this wasn't for your high transmission tunnel dividing you, you possibly can feel rather too in close proximity to your passenger. Certainly a careless grasp for your handbrake might find you rubbing knuckles against their knee. There's not much storage inside either, the absence of door pockets particularly disappointing and also the missing glove box a thankfully unfamiliar sight. A storage locker between your backs with the seats does alleviate your situation, but this isn't a car for daily detritus. The roof, however, is often a work of genius, and despite having no electric operation, the lightweight fabric structure could be lowered and raised in seconds, all in the comfort in the driver's seat, with genuine ease. It also proves skilled at keeping wind and road noise low when raised. The MX-5 can be quite small, which implies it's simple to park and maneuver. Some might struggle when the cover is up as it thinks dark and cramped, though. As such, you can find chunky blind spots in which the canvas roof blocks your view out, but overall it's not difficult to work with the MX-5. Visibility out top is good because you look along the length on the bonnet, and sensors are designed to most models at the trunk to assist with parking. The MX-5 isn't an automobile you'll be wanting to make use of for an auto boot sale in, unless you just have paper clips to promote. At 130 liters the boot incorporates a tiny capacity, nevertheless it's actually surprisingly usable because of the component's shape. It's accessed top-down, so it's a good deep and accessible area, rather compared to kind you'd discover in an upright city car. That means you may shove a good lot in if you're clever with a method that you pack your car or truck. Don't be fooled though, you'll still ought to think about what and the method that you're packing your things away.